Hello and welcome back to the channel. The Beatles, arguably the greatest rock band in music history, made countless hits, single after single, album after album. But today I want to delve into each album and find out what are possibly, arguably, the most overrated Beatles tracks ever released. So, coming from their debut album, of course, Please Please Me, I'm afraid, as much as I like the song, and it's a brilliant song, really well written, it has to be Please Please Me. Now, whether that's because I've heard it too often, that's quite a possibility, I suspect. However, on this album, I have to say, I think I Saw Us Standing There is pretty darn good and should have been more of a hit than it was. And I would probably go for Ask Me Why as well. I think that's a really, really good song. You know, it's got some good raw Lennon vocals on it, you know. But yeah, so on Please Please Me, it has to be, I'm afraid, sorry, Please Please Me. Now, obviously, With the Beatles is our second album, our follow-up, and arguably, of course, the song on here is All My Lovin'. Now, that's a fan favourite. You know, it's well known. Is it overrated? I don't play it a lot, I've got to be honest. Maybe that's just personal taste. However, I would say on here, it won't be long. I think that's a brilliant opening track. And I would also go for All I've Got to Do. Again, there's some great vocal work here from Lennon. And I just think these two songs have got more body about them. You know, maybe I'm just not a fan of ballads. Anyway, those are my two picks for the first two overrated songs on the two albums so far. From Hard Day's Night. On here, I've got to be honest, I think the most overrated song is Can't Buy Me Love. It's a great song. Yes, it's catchy, but it's a bit too simplistic, I think, personally. You know, there's not a lot of chord progression in it. Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff on here, to be honest, that could smart that one, like A Hard Day's Night. I should have known better. Tell Me Why. You know, things we said today. There's loads. So I think I've got to be honest, I think Can't Buy Me Love is a bit overrated. Beatles for Sale. Now, coming off this, I've got to be honest, this might be a controversial pick, but I've got to be honest, I think 8 Days a Week is overrated. It's a great song. I have no qualms about that. This is not a I'm right, you're wrong sort of thing. I just think it is a bit, again, repetitive in its own way. It's a good song. But then on here, you see, I think such giants that have been missed are I Don't Want to Spoil the Party, you know, I'm a Loser. You know, again, there's other material, I think, that is better than 8 Days a Week. But again, these are only my choices and only my picks. The next Beatles album up and the next overrated track is from Help, and it has to be Yesterday. Now, that is a song that is just well known probably over the whole world. It's played, you know, endlessly, really. I don't think there's probably a day anywhere where it's not being played. But again, it's a good track, but it's within a body of work where I think there are stronger, deeper cuts to be had. I'm not going to take away from Paul that it's a brilliant, masterful piece of writing, but, you know, there are other songs on here I think, you know, are just as good. But again, maybe it's because I've heard it too many times, and that's nobody's fault, really. But then we come to Rubber Soul. And on here, there's a song that's actually won awards, and that is from the Rubber Soul album, and it is Michelle, My Belle. These are words that go together well. Well, I'm afraid, again, even though, you know, this song did win awards, it's within again, a body of work that is really, really strong and innovative for its time. It's a good song. It works. It fits well in the album, but I think it's a bit overrated. Again, this is only a personal opinion. But yeah, Michelle, we now have what I would term as the psychedelic three. The song next on my list of overrated songs comes from the wonderfully splendiferous Revolver, and yes, I am biased, and that is none other than Yellow Submarine. It feels out of place on the album. I got to be honest, I don't know about you, but I skip it every time. I just don't listen to it. It's a good song, but sorry, I just think it's just overrated. It's just played far too much. It's quite simplistic in its tone. It's good and it's fun, but you know, could they put something else on Revolver rather than that song? Then we have, of course, the innovative and groundbreaking Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Great album. The one that I think is overrated on this is When I'm 64. Compared to the rest of the album, I don't think it quite fits. It's not a bad song. I don't think there's much that Paul McCartney's written that is really horrendous, to be fair. Certainly with his time with the Beatles. But When I'm 64, I'm not convinced it's the best song on, well, it isn't the best song on Sergeant Pepper's. Again, it's played a lot, isn't it? So it is what it is. And on our final psychedelic big hitters is Magical Mystery Tour, which of course we didn't have in its album form until later. And on here, to me, there is no contest other than to choose the overrated song being Hello Goodbye, simply because it is quite a simple song. Musically, it sounds brilliant. Ringo's drumming on it, everything. I just think it's a great song. But after a while, you can only hear different intonations of Hello Goodbye before you suddenly realised it's not that great. Sergeant, Strawberry Fields Forever, wonderful, sublime. Some of the lyrics are a bit sort of, displaced here and there, but it's a great song. But Hello Goodbye, not really. So has to be that one, I'm afraid. Next up is a bit of a difficult one, and that is from, of course, the White Album. So many songs, which is great. It's a bit like a treasure box, this album, really. But I've got to go with Obladi Oblada. Now, I like the song. It's funny. It's catchy. I remember hearing a version of it covered by a band called The Marmalade when I was a kid. But is it a bit overrated? It's a bit to be honest, this song to me is a bit like one of those guilty pleasures, if you like listen to the Bee Gees without people knowing that you do. So Obladi Oblada, I've got to go for that, I'm afraid. Again, I think it's a fun song, but that's all I can say, really. It is a bit overrated. And of course, we now have another soundtrack album, which is Yellow Submarine. Not a lot to choose on here, of course, because there's a lot of orchestration. I've already said Yellow Submarine is, to me, an overrated track, and it's included obviously on here. So could I go for that again? I suppose I could, but I am going to go with All You Need Is Love. It's a great message. There's no argument about that. Certainly one we need to hear today, but I don't really rate it as a standout work of musical genius. It's a good message. It's famous for being broadcast, obviously, by satellite in the late 60s. Achievement in itself. But apart from that, I can't really say a lot more. Now we have the final two, and they are, of course, Abbey Road and Let It Be. So, on Abbey Road, I'm going to be a bit controversial maybe and say Come Together. I like the song, it's good, it's completely different, something I'd never heard before in my life or expected to hear. But I think, to be honest, there's a lot of there are a lot more deeper cuts on Abbey Road that deserve more love. And there's the question of lyric borrowing on Come Together. But that being said, as I say, I think there's a lot more material on here. Like Something and Here Comes the Sun, that sort of stuff that really deserves more love than it gets. Finally, dear travellers, we have Let It Be, and the track I'm going to pick is going to be, I'm afraid, Let It Be. Yes, it is. Because I think, compared to Let It Be, I think things like Across the Universe, Two of Us, I've Got a Feeling, One After 909, man, they are absolute barnstormers, and I love them. So, yeah, I've got to be honest, Let It Be. It's a great song. Again, I won't take anything away from Paul on that because that guy can write some songs. I know I can't. But I've got to be honest, Let It Be is my, I'm afraid, maybe controversial pick for the final album. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video. Tell me in the comments below what your overrated Beatles track is. Any suggestions for any other bands that you want me to cover? And anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now, guys.